So yes, this video had to be done. While there are inspiring stories of how some talented Nigerian-born players have gone on to have great careers playing for the England national team, more often than not, the reverse is true. This begs the intriguing question and conspiracy theory. Is there a deliberate strategy to invite Nigerian-born players to England's camp, thereby denying Nigeria the opportunity to have these players play for Nigeria? In this story, we'll revisit the journeys of numerous Nigerian players who opted to represent England and later reflected on that choice. Also, we'll explore the necessary steps Nigeria can take to reverse this trend and secure its footballing future. Let's get into it. As we get into the video, we implore you to subscribe to our channel. We urge you to keep supporting our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing our videos as we strive to create a lot more exciting content for your viewing pleasure. On to the video. The strategy is simple but effective. A young, promising player with Nigerian heritage emerges through the English youth system, often excelling at the under-17 or under-21 level. As they break into first-team football for their clubs, the senior England team offers them a debut, often in a friendly or a less competitive fixture. That single appearance doesn't fully lock them into the England setup, but it places them in limbo, often deterring them from switching allegiance to Nigeria while holding the promise of more England caps that often never arrive. The English Football Association has subtly employed this tactic for years, leaving many Nigerian football enthusiasts disheartened by capping talented players of Nigerian descent early, only to sideline them later. It's a practice that not only limits the careers of these players, but also robs Nigeria of potential stars who could have significantly strengthened the Super Eagles. Players like Gabriel, Agbonlahor, Dele, Alli, Bukayo, Saka, Fikayo, Tomori, and even more recently Eberechi and Dominic Solanke are just a few examples of players that were once on the radar of Nigeria. They were handed England call-ups at critical stages only to be left out of future squads, never fulfilling international careers that could have blossomed with Nigeria. From England's perspective, it's about safeguarding options. The FA recognizes the deep talent pool among players with dual nationality, particularly those of African descent. Capping them early keeps future doors open for England while narrowing options for rival national teams, especially those in Africa. Moreover, the allure of playing for England with its prestige, top-tier facilities, and global visibility often outweighs the emotional pull of representing one's ancestral homeland, at least initially. Many players believe the first call-up will be the start of a long international career, unaware they might be pawns in a larger strategy. For Nigeria, the cost is significant. The Super Eagles, historically one of Africa's football powerhouses, relies not just on domestic talent but also on the diaspora. Players like Bassey, Iwobi Ajayi, and Ola Aina, all former England youth internationals, switched allegiance to Nigeria relatively early and became key figures for the national team. But for every Iwobi, there's a Chuba Akpom or Jacob Murphy who had to wait until much later in their careers before considering Nigeria. The depletion of this talent pool means Nigeria often misses out on players who could elevate the team in crucial competitions, like the Africa Cup of Nations and the World Cup. FIFA has relaxed its eligibility rules in recent years, allowing players under 21 with fewer than 3 senior caps to switch nationalities. This rule has benefited Nigeria, with players like Ademola Lookman and Kevin Akpoguma eventually committing to the Super Eagles. However, the Nigerian Football Federation must adopt a more proactive approach. In a recent interview, Chuba Akpom highlighted how many players didn't have the luxury of the option to switch earlier because they were not approached by the Nigerian FA to play for Nigeria at youth level.
We don't have the chance to play for Nigeria from a young age. I was never approached, when I was young to play for Nigeria. So when you're already in the England system at under-16s, you're playing the tournaments, blah, 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 you're in the England system already, So that's all you know.
On the other hand, England has a standing policy of monitoring promising talent and inviting them at a young age to play for its youth teams. Currently, England has up to 8 Nigeria-eligible players in its youth squads. This includes talents like West Ham's defender Chukwuemeka Adiele, Chelsea's centre-back Olutayo Subuoloye, Tottenham Hotspur's midfielder Callum Olashisi, and Newcastle United forward Trevin Sanusi. As Nigeria works on strengthening the Super Eagles, Nigeria is on the verge of losing another player of immense talent, Ethan Nwaneri, to England, with a potential call-up by England after Nigeria showed interest. If Nigeria is to stem the tide, building strong relationships with dual national players, engaging with them early and showing a clear pathway to international success can help counter England's strategy. The success of players like Alex Iwobi and Ademola Lookman in top European leagues proves that representing Nigeria doesn't hinder career growth, but in some cases even elevates it to new heights. Ultimately, the issue extends beyond football. For many players, choosing between England and Nigeria is about identity, opportunity, and legacy. England is not the only country with a consistent and strategic policy of securing dual national African players to play for its national team. France has an equally robust policy that sees it securing players like Mbappe, Dembele, and a significant portion of the French national team from the pool of players from African nations in the diaspora. Germany also seems to be joining the trend, which has seen it integrate more players of African descent in its teams. Consequently, Nigeria lost Jamal Musiala to Germany and recently Michael Olise to France, amongst others in recent memory. In this story, we focus on England as they seem to have the largest pool of flourishing Nigerian players in the diaspora. The following are a few sad stories of talents lost to the England national team. Gabriel Agbonlahor. Once one of the Premier League's brightest young forwards while at Aston Villa, Agbonlahor made his senior England debut in 2008. He earned 3 caps but was never called up again after 2009. Nigeria had expressed interest in him, but by the time it became clear England had moved on, Agbonlahor's peak years had passed, and the rest, as they say, is history. Carlton Cole. The powerful West Ham striker, also eligible for Nigeria, earned 7 England caps between 2009 and 2010. Though he showed promise, England never truly integrated him into the squad. Nigeria could have used his physicality and experience during major tournaments, but the opportunity slipped away. Ugo Ehiogu. Ugo Ehiogu, a central defender born to Nigerian parents, earned 4 caps for England between 1996 and 2002. Despite a solid club career with Aston Villa and Middlesbrough, his international opportunities were limited. Ehiogu later transitioned into coaching before his untimely passing in 2017. Dele Alli. Dele Alli progressed through the England youth system and made his senior debut in 2015 despite interest from Nigeria. In a 2018 friendly against Nigeria at Wembley, he faced boos from Nigerian fans, reflecting their disappointment over his decision. As of 2025, Alli's career has faced challenges, including injuries and being without a club, leading to questions about the path he chose. John Fashanu. John Fashanu was a prominent striker in English football during the 1980s and early 1990s. He earned 2 caps for England but was overlooked for major tournaments. Fashanu later expressed regret over not representing Nigeria, acknowledging the missed opportunity to contribute to the Super Eagles. He claimed that demands for bribes by Nigerian football officials prevented him from playing for Nigeria, as he refused to pay. He has since, however, become an advocate for Nigerian players, choosing Nigeria instead of England. Tammy Abraham. Tammy Abraham, born in London to Nigerian parents, faced a pivotal decision regarding his international football career. Despite being eligible to represent Nigeria, he chose to play for England, making his senior debut in 2017. However, his international appearances have been limited, leading to discussions about the long-term impact of his choice. Fikayo Tomori. Fikayo Tomori committed to play for England's national team in 2019 and has had only 5 caps while Nigeria has struggled to build a defense with depth in its bench. It must be noted that Tomori had been on the radar of England's national team scouts since the age of 7, so it should be no surprise that he chose to play for England. While he could have had a much better international career playing for Nigeria, he cannot fully be blamed for choosing a team that showed such keen interest from a young age. Eberechi Eze. One of the most frustrating cases for Nigerian fans. Eberechi Eze, a talented midfielder for Crystal Palace, was on Nigeria's radar for years. England finally handed him a senior call-up in 2023, effectively ending Nigeria's hopes. Whether Eze becomes an England regular remains to be seen, but the prospects for this being the case is slim considering the competition in this role in the England national team. Ademola Lookman's story is, however, perhaps the most positive example of escaping the trap. After playing for England at youth level and winning the Under-20 World Cup in 2017, he switched to Nigeria in 2022. He has since become an integral part of the Super Eagles, showing what could have been for other players had they made the switch earlier. The policy of these countries may continue, but Nigeria can fight back by offering more than just a backup plan. By presenting itself as a first-choice destination where talent is valued, nurtured, and celebrated. After all, the next generation of Nigerian football stars shouldn't be defined by what might have been but by what they can achieve when given the chance to shine. So what's the way forward? The following are a few things Nigeria can do to turn this trend around. Number 1. Consistent scouting and engagement. The NFF should establish a robust scouting network to identify and monitor talented players of Nigerian descent abroad at an early age. Regular communication and engagement with these players can help build trust and loyalty. One strategy could be building a team of respected ex-players as emissaries to these players and their families at a young age with incentives for the whole family. The argument that such youthful players should just play for Nigeria out of national pride simply will not be enough. Number 2. Clear player development pathways. Nigeria also needs to create a clear pathway for players to progress from youth teams to the senior national team. This includes consistent call-ups and opportunities to prove themselves in competitive matches at each grade level in progression. Number 3. Stable coaching and management. Ensure stability in the coaching staff and management to build trust and consistency in player selection. This will help players feel more secure in their decision to represent Nigeria. Since the Nations Cup in 2024, Nigeria has had 3 different coaches. This does not inspire much confidence in players who are considering the option of playing for Nigeria. Number 4. Incentives for commitment. Offer incentives such as competitive match bonuses, which are paid when due, access to top-tier training facilities, and opportunities to play in international tournaments to encourage players to commit to Nigeria. For so long, Nigeria has continued to neglect the facilities it makes available to players, such as accommodation, training facilities, and consistent top-tier coaching. Commissioning the building of a hotel that will likely not see the light of day does not inspire much confidence that it even has an idea of what is needed to lift Nigerian football. It is appalling that a country with the resources it has available to it cannot boast of more than one standard stadium with a quality pitch to host international matches. Forcing players to play in substandard pitches that endangers the safety of players will not inspire the best players to consider Nigeria as a first option. Nigeria can learn from Morocco, whose immense investment into soccer development saw it able to secure players like Brahim Diaz, Akram Hakimi, Hakim Ziyech, and Sofiane Amrabat to play for the Moroccan national team. Number 5. Dual nationality camps. This might seem like a desperate measure, but organizing camps or friendly matches specifically for dual-eligible players is a possible game-changer in this venture. This will give them a taste of representing Nigeria and to build camaraderie with other dual-national players before integrating them to the national teams. As Nigeria prepares for the likelihood of missing out on another talent in Ethan Nwaneri and also not qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, it must reassess its approach to foreign nationals. The policy of looking for talents in the Nigerian local league is a theoretically good one, but we have to recognize that only the players that were not talented enough to get trials with foreign teams remain in the local league. Within the last few months, youngsters like 19-year-old striker Hafiz Umar moved to Stade Reims in France from Ojodu FC in Nigeria after trials at Chelsea. Also, Adebowale Ogunbure, the Nigerian international who skippered the Under-23 team at the 2003 All-Africa Games in Abuja, is set to acquire German citizenship and switch to playing for Germany after the Nigerian FA falsely accused him of inciting a revolt at the Games. Early this year, Bundesliga side TSG 1899 Hoffenheim FC reportedly completed the signings of Nigeria teenagers Emmanuel Chukwu and Precious Benjamin from Grassrunners FC, 2 promising talents from Nigeria's youth soccer academies. In a few years, these players will begin receiving solicitation by foreign national teams if they begin to blossom into major talents or star players. This is just a sprinkle from the pool of players constantly fleeing Nigeria, so it is difficult to understand the frequent call for local players to be called to the national team. The list is endless, and if Nigeria is to stem this tide of losing its best talents, then a football reform is long overdue. Thanks for watching. Again, if you like our content, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Should Nigeria intensify efforts to secure foreign-based players for its national teams? Or would it be more beneficial to focus on nurturing local talent? See you in the next video.